Good day to everyone. So we'll be discussing capillary blood collection and the preparation of blood smear. So before Sergio, we will perform or will demonstrate on how to perform capillary blood collection and to prepare peripheral blood smear. I am requesting every one of you to please watch or listen to this video discussion first. This is just a very short discussion about capillary blood collection and blood smear. At least you have a background lang on this particular topic. Okay, so let us start first with capillary blood collection. So capillary blood collection is also called dermal or skin puncture. So we are collecting blood. Okay, nagko-collect pa rin tayo ng blood just like venipuncture. We are also collecting blood through this type of collection. However, um, this collection is done by puncturing or making an incision in the capillary bed of the dermal layer of the skin using a lancet or incision device. And also this type of collection class, unlike venipuncture, is only used for minute or minimum blood sample requirement in adults. Ang ibig kong sabihin class, for example, you have a lipid profile request from a patient. Okay? Since a lipid profile laboratory test can be done by using at least 3 ml of blood sample, okay? So, hindi natin pwedeng gamitin yung capillary blood collection. Okay? So, magbe-venipuncture pa rin tayo. Kasi nga, capillary blood collection is only used for minimum blood sample. Okay? Those laboratory tests that only requires a small amount of blood. Okay? So, this is very beneficial, especially for pediatric patients, yung mga newborn. Okay? So, in whom the collection of large quantities of blood may lead to serious consequences. So, for example, a 9-pound newborn has less than a 12-ounce soda of blood volume. Okay? So, konti lang, no? Ang konti lang ng blood volume ng newborn baby. Kaya kung babawasan natin pa yon, okay, it may lead to serious consequences. Po, pwede siyang magkaroon ng iatrogenic anemia. This type of anemia, okay, is caused by medical procedures. Okay, so kaya siya nagiging beneficial for pediatric patients kasi we can collect blood, a minute amount of blood only sa pediatric patients. Kaya kumbaga, hindi marami yung mababawasan na blood from the particular patient. Kaya nga, if napapansin niyo class, sa newborn screening test, okay, newborn screening test, ginagamit lang natin dito is capillary blood collection. Okay. So, let us proceed first with the materials that are used in capillary blood collection. So, we have a lancet or an incision device. This lancet, just like your multi-sample needles, just like your winged infusion set, are sterile, okay, disposable, sharp-pointed or bladed instrument. Okay, ibig sabihin, sterile, and then disposable, hindi siya pwedeng i-recycle. Okay, this lancet is available in a range of length and depth. Okay, so in choosing what type of lancet or incision device that we're going to use, we have to consider first the age of the patient. Okay, what is the collection site? Sa heel ba siya? Sa finger ba siya? Okay, and also the volume of the specimen required and puncture or incision depth. Like for example, no, maraming uh, volume of the specimen is required na capillary blood. Okay? So, ang gagawin natin is we will be choosing a lancet that is longer in length, okay, and mas malapad. Kasi, mas marami kang mapoproduce ng blood from this type of lancet. Okay? And then, always remember class, no, finger puncture. Okay? Si capillary blood collection can be done through a finger puncture or a heel puncture. Okay? So, si finger puncture, gagamitin lang natin for adults and also for children 1 year older. Okay? Finger puncture yon. However, for infants or newborn or sa mga neonates natin, ang gagamitin natin is heel puncture. Ibig sabihin, we will be puncturing the heel of the infant. Okay? So, wag kayong gagamit ng heel puncture if your patient is, for example, 64 years old. Okay? So kasi si heel puncture is only for infants, is only for children who are less than 1 year old. Okay? So these are the different types of lancet. So magkakaiba sila, no? If you can see itong maliit na to, itong may finger na nakikita nyo sa screen, okay? Ito yung parang automatic siya. Itatapat mo lang dyan yung finger mo and then through a sensor, automatic siyang magkiklik and then mapapuncture ka na. Okay? And then itong pinaka dulo, okay, yung merong green, ito yung may lancing device. Ito usually yung ginagamit natin, for example, sa mga point of care testing, yung mga glucometer natin sa bahay, okay, yung automatic siyang magkiklik. Okay. Okay, another material is the micro collection container or the microtubes. Micro collection container are also called as bullets. Okay? They are often referred to as bullets because of their size and shape. So, mukha silang bullet. Okay? And then some are fitted with narrow plastic capillary tubes to facilitate specimen collection. Ito yung nasa baba. Okay? So, these microtainer tubes has a maximum and minimum fill level. Okay? So, since they are measured in microliter, okay? So, ang difference niya sa mga vacutainer tubes, for example, is microliter yung microtainer. Kaya nga siya micro. Okay? However, for sa mga evacuated tubes naman na ginagamit natin, so they are measured in ml. Okay? So, konting amount lang ng blood yung ma-accommodate ng micro collection container because the blood is only measured in microliter. So, konti lang siya. Okay? So, it has a minimum and maximum fill level. So, 250 to 500 microliters. Yun lang ang fill level niya. Ang minimum niya is 250 microliters. Ang maximum niya is 500 microliters. So, these are the different kinds of microtainer tubes. So, makikita ninyo, color-coded din siya. Okay? Just like sa evacuated tubes natin, same pa rin siya. Itong violet na to, ang content pa rin niya is EDTA. Kumbaga, maliit na version lang siya ng vacutainer tubes natin. Okay. Another is the microhematocrit tubes or the capillary tubes. Okay. These are disposable, narrow-bore plastic or plastic-clad glass capillary tubes that fill by capillary action. Okay, capillary action is the ability of a liquid, okay, is the ability of a liquid to flow into a narrow space or thin tube without the use of an external force such as gravity. Okay, so ang action of the microhematocrit tube or the capillary tubes is the blood is filled through capillary action. Okay, again, through capillary action. So, kung si microtainer can hold 200 to 500 microliters, si microhematocrit tubes naman can only hold 50 to 75 microliters of blood. Okay? Kaya nga ang hitsura niya, ganyan lang siya. So, stick lang siya na maliit. Okay? So, doon pinapasok yung blood wherein it can only hold 50 to 75 microliters of blood. So, microhematocrit tubes are used for manual hematocrit determination. Okay? These are used for manual hematocrit determination. And then, meron siyang color-coded pa rin siya. Okay? Band yung makikita ninyo on one end of the microhematocrit tube. So, we have the colors red, green, and blue. Okay? So, tubes with a red or green band on one end. So, meron kayong makikita sa dulo, sa isang end niya, okay, ng kulay ng band. So, if the tube has a red or green band, ibig sabihin, it contains an additive such as ammonium heparin. Tandaan, red or green band on one end of the microhematocrit tubes contain ammonium heparin. Meron siyang additive. Okay? However, for a microhematocrit tube with a blue band on one end, wala siyang additive. Kaya nga ang tawag din sa blue band is plain tube. Wala siyang additive. Non-additive tube, blue band, and also called as plain tube. Okay. So, nakikita nyo dito, plain tube, okay, is used when hematocrit tube is filled with blood from a lavender top tube. Okay. So, for example, class, okay, you will be collecting, using a microhematocrit tube, you will be collecting a blood sample directly from a finger. Okay? Directly from a finger, you have to use a microhematocrit tube with a red or green band on one end. Kasi meron siyang additive. Okay? Kasi directly, dito ka kumukuha sa finger. However, if the blood, uh, will be coming, okay, from a lavender top tube, okay, if the blood will be coming from a lavender top tube, okay, and then you will be filling the hematocrit tube, you have to use plain tube kasi meron na siyang additive which is dito sa lavender top tube, di ba, which is EDTA. So ang gagamitin natin to fill the hematocrit tube is the plain tube. However, for the kapag yung blood naman is manggagaling directly from the finger, okay, kailangan gumamit kayo ng microhematocrit tube na merong additive. Example is red or green band. Okay? And then what are we going to use to seal one end? Okay? To seal one end of the capillary tube. We will be using a plastic, clay, or wax sealant that is used to seal one end of the capillary tube. Ma'am, saan po isi-seal? Okay? Kasi, class, kung mapapansin nyo, si microhematocrit tube, butas yan, magkabila. Okay? Magkabilang butas yan. And then, dun sa first end niya, yung sa one end, dun natin ipapasok yung blood. Okay? And then, saan natin isi-seal? Yung seal nun, class, doon sa opposite side. Doon sa kabilang side natin siya isi-seal. Okay? Again, for example, no, if we are going to fill the blood using a microhematocrit tube, okay, so one end of the microhematocrit tube will touch the blood from our finger, for example, okay, and then kapag isi-seal natin, yung another end, yung opposite end, okay. Okay, so these are the examples of microhematocrit or capillary tubes. Okay, so makikita nyo, red and green, meron silang additive to. Makikita nyo, meron din silang band on one end. And then blue, these are non-additive tube or plain tube. Okay? So again, red or green is used for collecting directly from a capillary puncture or from a finger puncture. And then the seal should be at the end that has not been used to collect the sample. So what are the principles of capillary puncture? Capillary specimens daw, okay, that is obtained from capillary puncture is a mixture of arterial, venous, and capillary blood, okay, plus interstitial fluid and intracellular fluid. Interstitial is the fluid that is in the tissue spaces, and intracellular fluid, inside, fluid inside the cells. Okay, and then also in the capillary specimen, there is a higher proportion of arterial blood versus venous blood. So, mas maraming content ng arterial blood yung capillary specimen versus a venous blood. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, this capillary specimen more closely resembles arterial blood composition kasi mas maraming proportion yung arterial blood ng capillary specimen versus venous blood. Okay. And then also, class, it is pwede rin, no? Pwede rin siya to induce arterial flow. Okay, to increase the arterial flow in the area. A puncture site can be warm. Pwede siyang painitin. Okay? For example, you have chosen a finger, your ring finger, the ring finger of your patient as your collection site. Okay? So, if you want to increase the arterial blood flow into the ring finger of the patient, pwede nyo siyang i-warm muna yung area. So what are the indications for capillary puncture? Okay, so indications such as fragile veins, unsuccessful venipuncture collection for thrombotic patients and apprehensive patients. Okay, so we can use capillary specimen. Okay, if a person has fragile veins, unsuccessful if you hindi naging successful yung venipuncture collection yun, nakailang tusok na siya. Okay? And then also for thrombotic patients and apprehensive patients, yung mga may takot sa needle, okay, po pwede natin gamitin si capillary specimen. And then pag thrombotic kasi yung site of yung particular site na i-venipuncture natin, for example, hindi rin siya po pwede, di ba? So wala kasi tayong makukuhang specimen doon. Okay? So po pwede na tayong mag-resort sa capillary puncture. Pero tandaan natin, class, no? Pwede tayong mag-use ng capillary specimen kung ang kailangan lang is konting specimen lang, and if that certain laboratory test can be tested using capillary specimen. Yun ang laging tatandaan, class. Hindi porke fragile veins, okay, without considering the laboratory test that is being requested, gagamitan na natin siya ng capillary puncture. Depende pa rin sa request na lab request. Sa request ng doctor na laboratory request, such as for example, ang ni-request niya is blood urea nitrogen or BUN, ALT, AST, and lipid profile. So, ang dami nung test na yon, pero hindi siya pwedeng gamitan ng capillary puncture kasi maraming specimen ang kailangan. Okay? So, tandaan lang, class, no, a properly collected capillary specimen can be a practical alternative to venipuncture when only small amounts of blood are acceptable for testing. And then another indication is if a patient has no accessible veins. Okay? So wala siyang available veins. So tinry nyo na lahat sa antecubital fossa, dito sa dorsal part of the hands, wala pa rin. Okay? And again, kailangan muna na alamin natin kung that particular request of the patient has requires or po pwede yung small amount of blood, kung acceptable ba dun sa testing. Okay? And then, as I have mentioned a while ago, capillary puncture can be done in POCT or point of care testing procedures such as glucose monitoring. Yun, pwede yun. Okay? And then also this is recommended for infants and very young children. And then also, kapag extremely overweight patients, di ba, kapag gano'n, malalim yung veins nila, so mahirap silang kuhanan. Okay? And also, class, capillary puncture is not recommended for dehydrated patients kasi there is a loss of liquid dito, kaya mahihirapan kayong makakolect ng blood. As in, wala kahit gaano nyo siya tawag dito, i-massage yan, wala kayong makukuhang specimen dyan kasi capillary puncture is not for dehydrated patients. Okay? Okay, kasi class, no, during dehydration, no, patients experience a decreased blood volume, so the specimen is very hard to obtain and may not be a representative of blood elsewhere in the body. Okay, so mostly tissue fluids lang ang makukuha that might alter the result of the laboratory test that is being requested. Okay, so class, meron din siyang order of draw. So for the order of draw for collecting multiple specimen using a capillary puncture, okay, so mauuna usually is blood gas, followed by EDTA, followed by other additive. For other additive, any color except daw for light blue top. Okay? So, si light blue top talagang hindi siya po pwede for capillary specimen. Okay? Because 'di ba, ito yung mga coagulation and coagulation factors, no, coagulation studies. So specimens that are most affected by clotting factors, okay? Or for example, yung coagulation studies, no? Coagulation studies, particularly yung light blue top, okay, ginagamit natin, okay? So hindi siya po pwede, okay? Except light blue because capillary blood is not recommended for coagulation studies. So, ang pagkakasunod lang natin is first will be blood gas, followed by EDTA, followed by other additive except for light blue top, and then lastly will be the serum specimen or the red tube. And then oftentimes, class, the CBG or the capillary blood gas are often collected separately and are rarely part of a typical capillary collection. So, kung mawawala itong blood gas na to, so ang susunod ninyo is EDTA na. Okay? So, when CBGs or blood gas are not part of the collection, hematology specimens such as yung sa EDTA are collected first. Okay? They are collected first because they are most affected by the clotting process. And then class, sa Strasinger naman, dun sa reference natin, if kunwari, merong request na blood smear. Okay? Aside from a capillary specimen, meron din kayong request for blood smear. So, ang pagkakasunod nito is blood gas, followed by blood smear, and then susunod pa lang si EDTA, susunod pa lang si other additive except for light blue tops, and then lastly for serum specimen. So, laging mauuna palagi si blood smear. Yun yung tandaan, no? So, blood gas, blood smear, EDTA, other additive except for light blue tops, and then lastly for serum specimen. So, the finger stick procedure. Okay, so tandaan class, no? Puncturing a finger. So, ibig sabihin, papuncture natin yung finger. Ang tawag doon is finger stick procedure. Okay, finger stick procedure or finger stick is for adults and children over 1 year of age. Okay? And then, pwede din natin i-puncture yung heel. So, ang tawag natin doon is heel stick. Okay? That is recommended for infants that are less than 1 year old. Okay, yung procedure natin, class, is also same as venipuncture procedure. Yung una, okay? Yung unang procedure natin. Ano tong mga to? You identify the patient, you interview the patient. So, yun pa rin ang gagawin natin. Okay? And then, also, class, eto sa number 3, please take note, select the appropriate puncture site. It must be central, fleshy portion, and slightly at the side of the central part of the middle or ring finger. So, ang suitable or recommended, okay, puncture site for finger stick procedure is the middle or the ring finger. Okay? Other than that, wala nang ibang pwede. Middle or ring finger lang ang pwede kapag finger stick procedure. Okay. So, pagkatapos natin i-disinfect, okay, make sure to air dry the site. Again, air dry the site on its own. Okay? Huwag siyang hihipat, huwag siyang iwawaf. Hayaan lang siya because kapag basa pa siya ng alcohol, that might cause hemolysis of the sample. Okay? And then during puncture, when puncturing the site, okay, please take note of this. Lancet is placed perpendicular to the fingerprint whorls. Okay, what do we mean by this one? So, eto siya. Okay? The lancet is placed perpendicular to the fingerprint whorls. Bakit? Bakit kailangang perpendicular to the fingerprint whorls? Kasi, in order for us to produce a rounded blood drop, okay, lancet is placed perpendicular to the fingerprint whorls to produce a rounded blood drop. Okay, mas malinis, hindi siya messy. Okay? Excuse me. Okay, and then I have also mentioned a while ago that before collecting the blood, pwede nating i-warm yung site for optimal blood flow, okay? To increase the arterial blood flow, okay? And then, warming the site is typically recommended for heel stick procedures because it increases the blood flow as much as 7 times. So, mas marami tayong mapoproduce na blood dito. Okay? Because warming the site helps in the dilation of blood vessels and thus increases the arterial blood flow. Okay, so ano yung maximum temperature of warming the site? Okay, we can use at least um, we can use yung temperature, yung maximum of 42 degrees Celsius. Hindi na siya po pwedeng mag-beyond 42 class, no? Kasi mapapaso na talaga si patient. Okay? And then warming the site should only last for 3 to 5 minutes. Okay? Not beyond. Hindi siya pwedeng mag-beyond because it might alter the results. Okay, so as I have mentioned a while ago, okay, it should be perpendicular to the fingerprint rolls to produce a rounded blood drop. Yung nakikita nyo ngayon sa screen. Okay, rounded blood drop. Okay, and then kapag meron na siyang blood, yung first blood, okay, you should wipe the first drop of blood with a clean, dry gauze pad. Okay, because bakit? Ano rationale for that? Because the first drop of blood contains tissue juices that might alter the results. Okay, and then after wiping the first drop of blood, po pwede na kayong mag-collect. Okay. So tandaan lang class, no? Ito yung mga naka-square dito. Collect blood at the end of the capillary tube with no band by holding the capillary tube above or beside the puncture site and touch one end to the blood drop. Okay? And then also, take note of the second one, lower the other end as the tube fills with blood while maintaining contact with the drop of blood to prevent air spaces. So, dapat class, okay, continuous yung contact ng capillary tube doon sa blood specimen, doon sa finger, for example. Okay, why? This is to prevent air spaces. Okay? And then, for the capillary tube, kapag i-fill natin, the capillary tube should fill at least 3/4 full. Okay? And then, isi-seal natin yung isang end with the appropriate sealant at the other end, yung merong band. Okay? So, kanina, no, sinabi ko sa inyo, yung other end, yung opposite end, yun yung isi-seal natin with the sealant. Pwede rin tayong gumamit ng microtainer. Okay? Microtainer. This is by touching the scoop part of the tube to the blood drop and allow it to run the inside wall of the container. And then, once in a while, you have to gently tap the container or pitikin yung microtainer tube para mag-settle down yung blood doon sa baba. Okay? And again, just like the usual vacutainer tubes that we use, okay, we have to seal the container and mix by gentle inversion. And then follow the procedure for venipuncture. You have to place the gauze on the puncture site and apply pressure. You have to ask your patient to apply pressure and do not forget to label the specimen. So Sir Joey will be showing you on how to label the specimen, and also you have to check the puncture site and dispose the contaminated materials and thank the patient. Okay, so these are some of the reminders in the procedure. So do not puncture fingers of infants and children under 1 year of age. Bakit? Kasi ang pupwede lang dyan is heels. Heel lang ang pwedeng i-puncture or yung sakong. Okay? And then also, do not puncture fingers on the same side as a mastectomy. Okay, just the same with venipuncture sa pre-analytical variables natin, no? Kapag yung mastectomy, dito sa right, for example, you collect blood to the other side. Okay, so dapat opposite side, different side. Okay, do not puncture parallel to the grooves or lines of the fingerprint. So ano yun dapat? It should be perpendicular to produce a rounded blood drop. And number 4, do not puncture the fifth or the pinky and the index finger and also the thumb. Okay? So kasi ang recommended lang dito is middle or the ring finger. Okay. So let us proceed on our last topic, which is blood smear preparation. So blood film or blood smear or the peripheral blood smear, okay, is a drop of blood that is spread thinly on a microscopic slide. Okay, this blood smear is used for manual WBC or differential count. This is a part of CBC. Ito yung magdi-diff count tayo, and then we will be identifying and counting cells such as monocytes, eosinophils, basophils. So, sa HEMA, pag-aaralan nyo yan. So, dapat, before kayo makarating sa HEMA, dapat marunong na kayong mag-blood smear. Okay? So, this, ano yung purpose of creating a blood film? This is to confirm abnormal results of a machine-generated differential or platelet count, and also to check for abnormalities in the blood cells. So, dito rin nakikita yung abnormal blood cells, and then from here, na-identify what type of leukemia yung sinasuffer ni patient, something like that. Okay? And then also for malaria, we also create a blood smear, pero thick naman yung ginagawa. So for now, we will be producing a thin blood smear, okay, which will be used for manual WBC differential blood count. Okay, so again, we can produce a blood smear by performing a capillary puncture. Okay, so same procedure should be applied in the capillary puncture. Okay, and then we will be using a slide to produce a blood film, and then after the first drop of blood is formed, okay, you have to touch the slide next to the blood drop approximately 1/2 to 1 inch away from the end of the slide. Okay, if sa mga frosted end of the slide, and if plain yung glass slide naman, okay, same pa rin. Okay, dapat you have to allot a space for labeling, okay, the blood smear. Okay, so that will be the position. Using your non-dominant hand, hold the slide with the blood drop between your thumb and forefinger. So, meron din kayong spreader. Spreader, ito yung nasa taas. Okay? Ito yung ginagamit natin to spread the blood drop to the other slide. And then, the spreader should be in approximately 30 degrees angle. Okay, so allow the blood to spread, and then afterwards, i-spread nyo na siya until you produce a smear that is like this one. Okay, it should be tongue-shaped with feathered edges. Okay, and then do not forget to label. Okay, so you have to label it using a pencil. Bakit pencil? Kasi after the blood smear, after mag-dry niyan class, dadaan pa yan sa staining process. Ibig sabihin, yung mga staining process, you will be using different kinds of reagents, and a lot of those contain alcohol, and yung alcohol can smudge the marks on the slide kapag gumamit kayo ng either ballpen or a marker. So, kailangan pencil. Okay? Hindi yun mabubura. Okay? Okay, so just read this one. Okay, kasi mas maigi if mas maigi dun sa demonstration, no, mas makita ninyo. Okay? And then other facilities class use a diff safe to transfer a drop of blood to the slide. Okay? Pero usually sa mga laboratories natin today, manual lang natin ginagamit. Either we use a capillary tube to transfer the blood from the lavender top tube to the slide. Okay? So gumagamit tayo ng capillary tube or applicator stick. Okay? And then class, tandaan, no, when you will be collecting blood to be used for blood smear, for example, hindi tayo gagamit ng capillary blood specimen. Okay? Dapat yung blood should be contained in a lavender top tube or EDTA tube. Okay? Yung gagamitin nating specimen for blood smear preparation. Okay, so just take a look at these illustrations. Okay, this is the proper way of making the blood smear. And then this is a part of a good smear. Okay, so dapat class, merong progression yan, no? From thick to thin. Okay? Thick to thin. Yung thin part is etong may feathered edges niya. Okay? So, kung mapapansin nyo, may progression. From thick to thin. Okay? And then, it should be tongue shape. Okay? So, ayan yung different parts of a good smear. So, this is a well-made peripheral blood smear. And itong iba, A, B, C to age. Okay? Ito yung mga unacceptable blood films. And since we have unacceptable blood films, merong reason yan. Bakit naging ganyan? Okay? So, ito yan. Okay? Merong problem, and then what is the probable cause? So, just read this, okay, these common problems associated in routine blood smear preparation. So, marami yan. And then, meron din tayo dun sa reference natin. Okay, so we're finished with the discussion. So, Sir Joey will be doing a demonstration on your class, okay, for blood smear preparation and capillary blood procedure. Okay, thank you so much.